Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
more about the job, like what you see. A lot of people have preconceived notions about what firefighters are and what they do, but what does it look like day to day?
Well, majority of it, we are in a surrounding area here. I mean, and most apartments are probably that way here in the surrounding Florida area. Um, we are like 80% medical. So by that I mean medical calls, ambulance calls, vehicle accidents, extrications, things of that nature. Like we get a lot of those fire alarms, things of that nature. We get a lot more of those than we do like actual legit fires.
Hmm.
In With where I work, I'm a lieutenant for the city of Apopka. We have very short response times, which is great. So that essentially means that and we have a lot of newer construction as well. So, and we have a lot of programs to essentially assist from school all the way up to adult age with fire safety. So you combine those things plus newer construction, better suppression systems, and shorter response times, then you just don't get, the ginormous fires, like you would see other places. We don't have too many big high rises within our city, other than, like a couple hotels and, apartments are going up like crazy. Um, so you do have those, but as far as like massive high rises, things like that, we don't have those in our particular city. So you're 80 something percent medical. So we put a big emphasis on not only training for fire stuff but for EMS because that's what we do most of the time. So that is the biggest day to day is running EMS calls, performing ALS. Um, so that's what we spend a majority of the day. I'm on the busiest truck in the city right now, the busiest engine in the city. And so, we run, anywhere between 8 to 10, 12 calls, bad days, 12 to 15 calls a day. So between that, we also do pre-plans of our businesses so that way we can gather information on those businesses, especially target hazards, which are high occupant, big fire load, businesses, warehouses, things like that. And so that we can come up with a game plan ahead of time. So if we do get, called to those locations, then we have the layout and how we want to attack whatever issue may be. So that's the course of our day. We run a regular work day, like anybody else. We're 24 hours, but our normal work day is anywhere from 8 to 4, 8 to 5. And just like you see firefighters doing out, at the very beginning of the day, we're cleaning the station, washing trucks, just kind of getting prepared for the day. There's anywhere between 13 to 15 of us at my station, per day. So we'll have a little powwow, as we call it, anywhere between 8:45, 9 o'clock. Get everybody together, make sure everybody's doing okay. Go over the day, go over our game plan as to who's doing what and where. We have our training center in our first due, so we're there every day, doing some type of training. We have a lot of new guys, so we have probationary books that we have to go through with them. So it's busy. It's a fairly busy day. My day personally doesn't usually end until 8 or 9 o'clock.
Hmm.
That's usually when I'm sitting down after we have dinner and shower, where I'm finishing up all my computer work and reports, for the calls and evals for the new guys and so on. So my day generally doesn't end until around the 8 to 9 o'clock hour, but nevertheless, that's kind of like the course of all of our day and what we run the most of. So that's what we see. Is we see more emergency medical calls than we do fire calls. Probably generally 80-20, if you will, 85-15. So that's why we train a lot, on what we would do in the case of a fire, because obviously that's your low frequency, high risk, type of call.
Hmm.
And we're pretty decent when it comes to EMS with the high frequency, calls with that and training to that regard. So, yeah, so that's the course of our day every day. So that's why we train every day to be prepared for those things. We really take pride as a department in being well trained. We're not perfect, but certainly well trained in a lot of areas just to be as proficient as we can.
Yeah, I've heard this from probably most firefighters. Is it's mostly medical, and I think that's might be the biggest thing people don't realize,
Yeah,
as well as people going into fire academy. And
yeah,
it's really interesting to me because I think the medical stuff. I mean, personally, I do like the medical stuff a lot, and
yeah,
I would imagine it really shapes how you do the job and a lot of the training that you do, just because the medical calls, they can probably weigh down more than the fires sometimes. I mean, if it's a really bad fire, I would imagine that
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
rough. But
but yes, to your point, majority of what we see would be like like on the tragic type calls is that because we run so many EMS, then you certainly, fortunately, they're few and far between, but certainly experience the trauma of running pediatric calls
mm,
or bad extrication calls. Those happen more often than you want to,
yeah,
for sure. But that would be a majority of the bad tragic calls that we run, are those EMS calls, for sure.
how do you
Yeah,
and the
I,
other
I
firefighters
generally
work
tell
through that?
people that, if they're trying to get on to the fire department or any of our new guys, as soon as they get hired on, fortunately during orientation, I think they kind of tell them a little bit more, that look, this is what we run a majority of. You have a lot of individuals, like we have one tower truck right now, we're about to get a second one, and we have one heavy rescue truck. Those are called special ops trucks, specialized operations trucks. So it's not as if there's a million spots to be on those specialized trucks. Me, I'm an engine guy, I like being on the engine.
Mm,
um, and so you have individuals that come in that have a lot of those classes, or that's what they're looking to do, is to be on those trucks. But you kind of have to work your way to getting there. And in doing so, that means, taking those classes, but also you got to kind of, go through the process, which is being on it backwards on an engine for 6 months. And then after you do that, you're going to spend a lot of time as an EMT on an ambulance. Like, I
yeah,
mean, so it gets to a lot of people where they're like, man, this is not for me. Like, I wanted to be on these trucks right away, this, that, and the other. And especially around our area, that's not how it works.
yeah,
So we try to educate, individuals that are coming onto our department that not every department around here is the same, but a majority of them run the same way. Like, you're majority medical, you're going to spend a good amount of time on an ambulance as well. You just got to work your way up the process. Like I said, I was the front run medic at an outlying station, which means a station outside of our main one, for almost 10 years. Barely being able to get. We didn't have backwards firefighters at the time to ride on the engine, so there was no switching people on and off, giving people a break to be off the ambulance, this, that, and the other. So now it's great that we have moved into a more modern day way of running a fire department.
yeah, yeah.
So we have those backwards guys. We have 3-man engines now. We are making everybody become a medic within 3 years of getting hired on. That's of like 3.5 years ago or so.
Mm.
So now we're getting a lot more medic heavy, and you can start switching medics on and off, and making sure that they're not getting burnt out. And so certainly have come a long way to making, to adjusting to those things a little bit better.